And good morning, strangers. I'm Andy,
Morning, it's Mark.
and this is Strange Stuff Podcast.
And it's going to start strange because I have to eat some breakfast.
What, what, what are you having?
It's a nutty bar.
Uh,
It's actually a mid-morning snack. I had breakfast hours ago.
I was going to say, don't you normally get served breakfast in bed by one's staff?
Yes, in my dreams. No, it's been a bit busy this morning, but I'm by myself in the house, so it's quite peaceful.
Oh, right, you've got visitors now for the next couple of months, something.
Apparently so, yes. But obviously I say obviously, my grandson is a pleasure to spend time with. So he's 4.5 months now, so he's alert and interacting, and it's good fun.
What sort of interacting?
Well, he laughs at my jokes, that
Well, I
sort of
mean,
thing.
that's always a bonus. It's probably the only person on the planet who does.
He's just started eating what's the wing of it? Porridge and things like that. He sucks on porridge. He doesn't actually swallow too much of it, but
Have you told him the dinosaur jokes?
God, are they suitable for little Leo? What are the dinosaur jokes?
Well, what do you call a one-eyed dinosaur?
I don't know.
Do you think it's Horus?
Do you think he's? That's a good one, actually. Even suitable for a 4.5-month-old.
What do you call a lesbian dinosaur?
Not so suitable. I don't know. What do you call a lesbian dinosaur?
Lickalotopus.
For God's sake.
What do you call
Oh,
a gay
dear.
dinosaur?
Also unsuitable. I don't know.
Megasauros.
Megasaur. How long have you been holding? Are these school day jokes?
Do you know what? You're brilliant because I've told you these before, but due to your senility, you've completely forgotten. So it's just like having a fresh audience.
You haven't. I might have already forgotten them by the end of this production. But no, he did very well on the journey up, so that was good. I was in Copenhagen last week. That was quite fun.
Is that international drug smuggling?
No, just having lunch with an old friend.
Oh, right, yeah. That lady.
Because I was down in Gothenburg. What a journey, though. I don't know why I didn't catch on to it. It's basically 4 hours between Gothenburg and Copenhagen. And I thought, it'll be straightforward. You get on the train in Gothenburg. You literally get off the train in Copenhagen. How difficult can it be? It's like a commuter train. The seats were horribly uncomfortable. No possibility to buy water or snacks or anything. It's literally a commuter train, uncomfortable commuter train that you're on for 4 hours, or on the way back 5 hours because of delays.
Oh, nice. But was lunch worth it?
It was fine. Yeah, we just met up, had a good chat. Well, 3.5, 4 hours of chats. Yeah, it was nice to see her again. It was literally, I think it was 23 years the last time I saw her.
Was she still rather saucy?
Rather saucy. No, she looked very good, and in fact hadn't actually changed that much at all in the 23 years. So that was good. And other than that, no, just, I can't remember. Yeah, we spoke after Midsummer. I've just been eating a lot. That's all I think I've been doing, mainly eating. Barbecue meats.
And cycling?
Actually, I haven't been out cycling on the road, but luckily I have done a few sessions downstairs.
My manager just did the Ironman thing.
Veteran.
Yeah, the veteran and the swimming and the whatever it is.
All right.
I don't know what is it, a running thing as well?
Normally, Ironman is swimming, running, and cycling.
But it's a special Swedish one, isn't it? That's called something.
Oh, you're talking about the classic, the Swedish classic.
I don't know.
Yeah, it is. That's doing Vasaloppet, the 90-kilometre ski race, Vättern, which is the 300 bike race.
I don't think it's the classic then.
No.
I don't think
anyway, I'm too old for it. I can't even think in those terms.
You're training for the Vätternrunde next year, aren't you?
No.
Or is it the Siljanrunde?
No, I'll do Siljan Orsa, which is 180k, I think it is now. I'll do that comfortably. I mean, I've done it 10 more times before. No, Vättern is too demanding. 300 kilometres.
Yeah, my manager said he did it in about 10 hours.
Well, that's actually what I did it in just under 10 hours the last time I did it. 9 hours 53 total, 9 hours 28 on the bike. It's a good, 31 kilometres an hour average. I'm surprised he wasn't faster if he's actually an Ironman.
He was with a group of people. I think they stuck together.
Yeah. That's
I don't think they were
an advantage
in competition with each other.
No. So that's all happened. We had the big lake run yesterday around the lake. If you remember that.
No.
Classic cars.
I didn't even know they did that in Mora.
Round Siljan. So
I love the way they call them classic cars. Let's call them what they really are, rusty pieces of American shite.
Some of them are rusty pieces of rubbish, but a lot of them are absolutely beautiful. But it's a very popular event in the villages and the towns. People are literally sitting in camper chairs on the roundabouts and things, watching the cars go by.
Yeah, it's the same every year in Rättvik.
Oh no, that's classic car week.
Yeah, but they sit outside in camper chairs and just watch these people driving round and round and round for a whole week. It's madness.
It may be a reflection of the lack of alternative entertainment in our area.
Have they never heard of Netflix? I would rather watch paint dry. Fucking hell. I mean, what a way to spend a week. Oh, shall we sit outside and watch cars?
Oh. No, anyway, so that's kept us all busy. And what else has happened? Obviously, that car crash of a debate with Biden and Trump.
I mean, finally, people are waking up to the fact that he is actually dead.
Yeah, well, not quite, but actually pretty close to it. The amazing thing is that he still insists on carrying on.
Yeah, but
it must be aware.
His nurse should not let him.
Well,
how is he allowed to be able to make those decisions on his own? He clearly can't even string a sentence together.
Well, that is the tragedy. And in fact, it's happened before. We've spoken about it before. I can't remember what her name was. That 90-year-old Supreme Court judge, was her name Gainsborough or something like that?
I don't know.
She was literally 92 years old. Obama asked her to step down so that he could appoint a Democrat in the Supreme Court to keep the numbers balanced. She refused. Trump came in. She died, and he replaced her with, not surprisingly, a staunch Republican, and that screwed up the whole of the Supreme Court for years to come. And Biden, some of the Democratic voters, maybe they won't vote for Trump because that's a bridge too far, but maybe they'll simply abstain from voting. So he could literally be handing Trump another presidency.
Oh, well, at least we'll have 4 more years of comedy.
Yeah, but I have a feeling it could get pretty ugly this time around. Bearing in mind that Putin actually has invaded. Oh, talking about Putin, sorry, to change to English politics. Did you say I don't know I think it was real. I think it was real. It was Nigel Farage giving a speech because he's standing for Parliament.
Yeah.
So he's on some school stage and there's an audience watching him and they're videoing him obviously giving his speech. And then slowly at the back of the stage, this poster is lowered down saying Putin loves Farage. Or something. And no one, people thinking, what the hell's going on? And Farage finally cottons on that people are looking up at this poster above his head, and he sort of loses it. Not get it down. Who put that there? Get it down. So two hoodlums, or I call them hoodlums, reform supporters, jump onto the stage, but they can't pull it down because it's, part of a set or a scene or something. They're quite tough. They're sort of hanging off it and they can't get it down. It was comedy gold. It really was.
I mean, if he'd have just laughed at it, it would have been so much classier.
Exactly. Instead of
trying to pretend it doesn't happen.
Exactly. I can only assume it might have been from a few years ago, only because he was wearing a double-breasted jacket. Who wears double-breasted jackets in 2024?
I know. What a faux pas. It's almost as bad as Brian's shoes in the city.
I mean, anyway, whatever. So that was mildly amusing, but obviously, what is the date? It's the 1st of July tomorrow. So the election is on Thursday.
It's always a Thursday for some reason.
Well, it's so it doesn't upset people's weekend. Anyway, so all of that, sadly, mildly amusing. Sunak's going to have his arse handed to him.
The amount of... I've stopped reading the papers again because the amount of fucking sycophantic monster journalists who are pretending that the Conservatives are the way to go. You have to vote Conservative. It's like, have you fucking ignored what's happened in the last 14 years, you fucking monkey cunts? What is wrong with them? How can you even... How are they allowed to print such fucking bollocks? Oh, yes, we've got to keep the Conservatives. They're the only ones who... They're already regenerating the economy that they stole and fucking handed out to their mates. Oh, I hate them so much. Hate them so much.
Friends and family.
Anyway.
Enough of that. What else is going on in the world? What? You've got an announcement.
I've actually, just a reminder for us both that tomorrow, being the 1st of July, also marks the beginning of our 3rd birthday month.
How can you have a 3rd birthday month? We've been going for 2 years.
It's going to be 3 years on July the 19th.
No.
Yes.
We've been doing this rubbish for 3 years.
We've been spouting nonsense for 3 fucking years.
Is that right?
It is.
Really?
Yeah.
How many hours is that? 3? How many episodes have we done then?
160-ish.
That's probably 200 hours of my life that's gone forever, never to be replaced.
Probably the only productive 200 hours you've ever spent. The only honest 200 hours.
Oh, dear. All right. Well done. Strange Stuff Podcast. 3 years.
Yeah. So I'm going to have to try and think of something special for our
bottle of champagne
episode. Oh, actually,
yeah, maybe you can send me a bottle of champagne.
Why would I send you one? How about you go down to your wine cellar, pick me out a nice 1929 Chateau Latif. Or Chateau Lafitte.
Chateau Latif.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the rapper. I
I
think
was going to say, that's not a red wine, that's a wrapper.
Chateau Lafite.
Speaking of which, it's Glastonbury. Still going that. Apparently
No,
Coldplay were
yeah.
absolutely remarkable.
Oh, fuck off.
Everybody gave them 5 stars.
Glastonbury is shit now. And sorry, and once it became corporate and it's no longer a music festival, it's just a fucking money machine. It's disgusting.
So you prefer the music festivals that don't make any money?
I preferred it. Well, I remember going to Stonehenge before they closed that down. And that was basically a proper festival. That was when you turned up, you pitched your tent, you went down to the tents where they sold everything from. They had little signs outside the tent saying cocaine, £5 a line, weed,
Don't be
£1.
ridiculous.
I'm telling you, it was open season. And if you had a band, you set up and you started playing, and people just sat round and watched you and listened. It was fucking glorious.
You live in some Disney Channel memory lane of England. It was never like that at all.
It was like that. It was like that. Reading Rock Festival as well. I mean, Reading Rock Festival used to be Reading Rock Festival. You used to go there. Tickets were like 30 quid for the whole weekend. And you'd see bands like Nirvana and like the Rolling Stones and Genesis, I suppose. Now, it's all Taylor Swift at every fucking festival, or Beyonce.
She doesn't do festivals.
Rock. That's not rock. It's not even music, for God's sake. They don't play any instruments. I want to see a band. I want to see someone holding a guitar.
Andy, do I suspect you didn't have a very good night's sleep last night?
I had a great night's sleep. And I want to see choreographed fucking dancing. I want to see people bashing their axes.
Here's a name from the past in terms of music festivals. Does Nebworth still happen?
It was 20 years ago.
I know it used to because I went.
It was 20 years ago. I don't know if it's still going.
I went there, not 20 years ago. I went there 46 years ago when I was 17. I saw Genesis. They had the first laser light show.
Oh, Phil Collins.
Yeah, he was still in the band in those days. Yeah, that was memorable. I think the only thing they charged for in the tents at the rock festival that you were talking about was to use them as a toilet. That's the problem they had in We Have a Town, well, you know it, Borlenga. They used to have Love and Peace or something, the music festival.
Peace and Love.
Peace and Love. And when everybody left, there were sort of like 200 tents just still sitting there that people had used as toilets.
Oh.
The organisers had to get, digger machines to pick up all these toilet tents.
Hazardous
it was absolutely
waste.
Horrible. Yeah, terrible. Anyway, so we've covered politics. We've covered. Did you hear, talking about Taylor Swift, that they were touting her as the reason they didn't reduce interest rates in Sweden on Thursday because of the inflation spike that she caused?
How
they
did
couldn't
she cause
reduce
an inflation spike?
Because of the massive demand for hotels and travel and everything. People were spending fortunes on hotel rooms and eating out and everything. It actually caused a spike in inflation. And that's the reason why the Riksbank didn't lower interest rates.
That's just fucking nonsense. That's just a lie, isn't it?
It could be true, actually.
We're not reducing interest rates because of Stranger Things on Netflix. That's what it is.
So that's going on in the world. We've got the election. We've talked about that. Got a Grand Prix I'm looking forward to this afternoon, sort of. Austrian. Spanish was last week, Austrian.
Austrian Grand Prix. Where in Austria is that one held?
Good question. I think it's called the Red Bull Ring these days. I'm not wholly sure. I don't follow it as closely as I used to. And this weekend, as I say, I'm focused on building my little grandson a bed. We purchased mattress and bits and pieces from IKEA yesterday, and I am now going to manufacture the bed frame. What's that?
That's my window. I've got it propped open with quite a heavy statuette, which is
Of an Oscar.
No, it's a monk getting a blowjob from a naked girl while he's holding another naked girl in his arms.
This is the sort of thing you have on display in your bedroom. It's not even your bedroom, that's your lounge.
Can you see?
Oh, very tasteful.
And it's teetering quite dangerously.
What is that? What is that great big... What is that?
That's a fan.
What sort of fan?
A bladeless Dyson fan.
Oh my God.
It's amazing. Tell you what.
How much did that cost?
About $1 million. But
they're ludicrously expensive, aren't they?
It is pretty ludicrous, but it really is effective. It blows like a whole wind. And it's only on, I've only set it on number 5. It goes up to 10.
What, do the cats stand in front of it with their hair getting blown back?
The cats don't mind it, but they like the windowsill better. They scare the shit out of me. They go out and stand on the windowsill, especially Reggie. I know he's just going to take a dive one day.
Well, what do you mean they can jump from the first floor of a house?
Reggie can't jump from a chair. He's an idiot. He belly flops.
He doesn't.
He does.
Cats
He's an
are
idiot.
Designed to jump. Cats
anyway,
are designed to jump.
Cats are also designed. They're all out at the moment, I think.
Have they brought you any dead animals recently?
Oh yeah, there's like a whole cemetery outside my front door. It's like a show and tell. I had Teresa was here for lunch on Friday, and
yes.
I left the door open for a couple of minutes to let the boys decide whether they wanted to go in and out. Fuck me. I turn around, there's a dead bird in the hallway.
Really?
Reggie's standing there going, "Look what I got."
How did Therese react to deceased bird on the doormat?
She's not squeamish. She's a cat owner herself.
Oh, I see.
But her cat lives in Portugal.
Uh-huh. How is the Serbian princess? Have you seen her again?
She was going to come over on Saturday, but we were going to both do a little bit of overtime, and then she was going to come over for lunch, but she decided to duck out of both the overtime and the lunch because she was too exhausted, which is fair enough, because she did overtime last weekend, Saturday and Sunday, like a lunatic.
And as a matter of interest, in her circumstances, is she sort of sending money home?
No.
So she's not trying to support a family?
No. She has no family as such. I mean, she obviously has parents and siblings, but no children or anything.
Right. Yeah.
No, she's just trying to live here. She's found an apartment finally.
Yes,
she was
mentioned that last.
Which she was hoping to move into, like on the 1st of July. But I mean, she should know better, living in Sweden this long, that Swedes are not in a rush ever. Nothing happens today.
No. What was I going to say? Are you going to help her move?
Unlikely. She's got a car and she's living in the camp, so she can't have much gear with her.
But you could it would be kind and polite to offer.
I will offer tomorrow at work, possibly. But if she says yes,
would you like a hand moving?
I'll be so mad if she says yes. Fucking, I hate moving.
What do you mean? You asked me to bloody help you move on
That's
however
right,
many
because
occasions.
I hate it. I want someone else
So
to
it's
do
all
it.
right. Ask your mate.
Yeah, I want someone else to do it. I fucking loathe moving.
You paid 2 blokes to do it for you last time, didn't you?
My company paid.
No. But I mean, yeah, you did
Yeah, but
get
that's
2 blokes
fine.
to drive.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's fine. If someone else is paying for it as well, that's great. I don't mind moving at all. But I sit there when I have to move. I sit there and I look at stuff and sort of manifest it to be packed. I just can't get off my arse and start doing it. It's like I just wait for it to happen.
You have to rank Andy as one of the most impractical, I wouldn't say useless, but impractical people I know. Oh,
I'm not.
Mark, I've got a puncture. Can you come and rescue me? Oh,
Yeah,
Mark,
I'm not
my
good with that
scooter's
sort of
not
stuff.
working. Can you come and rescue me?
I'm not good at
Oh,
that sort of
Mark,
stuff.
I need to move a box. I need to move a box from the living room to the kitchen. Can you come and help?
It's not quite that bad. Some stuff I'm an expert with, but
Yeah,
some
like
stuff I'm
building
shite.
computers, updating
Yes,
computers, you're very good with. Yeah.
but some stuff I'm shite at. Like if something happens to my car, I will call a man. I wouldn't even dream of even starting to have a look at it.
No, I would. And in fact, I'm having my car serviced on Wednesday.
Not doing it yourself.
No, well, the thing is that these days, if you have a modern car, they're so sophisticated. Where do you start? Everybody just plugs them in, and the diagnosis machine kicks in, tells you what needs doing, sort of thing. And if you don't have one of those ludicrously expensive machines, you can't do it yourself.
Well, it's not like the
Anyway.
good old days.
No, you're damn right.
Talking of the good old days, we're going to talk about the good old days today.
Now, what's that link thing that you do?
Segue.
Was that a good segue into the story today?
It was sort of.
How we haven't gone back in a long time.
No, but we are going to go back to like the 16th and 17th centuries today.
That's our favourite period, Henry VIII.
And
Not
we're going to
yeah,
go back.
Actually,
we're
it
going
is
to
Henry
revisit one of our favourite subjects, which is, of course, witches.
Ah, yes, we're good at that. Witches of Mora.
Well, we've done the Mora witches and the Salem witches. But
So now who are we talking about?
well, there's lots of witches over the years. The Salem witches, that was 1690s. Salem.
Could have been 1680s and 90s. Yes, 100 years after Henry VIII.
And that was kicked off by two girls who were pretending to have seizures and fits. And basically, they caused the Salem witch hunts, which resulted in, I think, about 25 executions. It wasn't a great number, but it was just an awful situation. But 100 years before that, around about 1612, in a place called Pendle Hill in Lancashire.
Pendle Hill.
It was a place that was thought wild and lawless at the time. And
it still is.
What, in Lancashire? Come on.
Oh.
I said, in Lancashire? Come on.
Carry on then, what happened?
12 people were accused of the murders of 10 people in the local area by the use of witchcraft. 6 of them...
Over a period, not simultaneously. That was over a period, was it? It wasn't a mass murder.
No, it was all at the same time.
Oh, it was? All
6
right.
of the people accused were from the same family, called the Demdikes. That's
Demdikes?
That's an unfortunate name, isn't it?
It
Look
is.
at them dykes. And the others were from the Chattox family, the Chattoxes.
Again, not an English name.
Well, it's very much English because it was in the 1600s and we didn't have mass migration.
And why is it there are no Chattoxes left in the world today?
I'm sure that because we burned them all.
Well, maybe we're going to find out. You're right.
Now, it's thought that the families at the time were in competition with each other from making their livings from healing, begging, and also extortion.
Criminals, in other words.
So they were branching out. They were diverse in their business acumen and interests.
The Rogie and Rennie, what's his name? Reggie and Ronnie. Reggie and Ronnie of the 1600s.
Well, 10 of these family members were executed.
That's a bit harsh.
Well, they were witches. Burn them. Burn the witch.
What could you burn a bloke for being a witch, or was it only women?
Witches were allowed to be men as well. Basically, in those days, if you wanted someone out of the way, you just point the finger. Witch! Witch! I would have gone mad.
You could have been.
I would have been a witchfinder general. I would have been fucking ruthless.
Witchfinder general?
Yeah. So,
is that how you see yourself, Andy, as the witchfinder general?
I'd be in a bar, chatting to a nice bit of young totty, and go, so you fancy coming back to my place? You go, fuck off. Witch! Witch!
You sound a bit witch-like when you screech like that. Have you been practicing?
There'd be pyres all around North London.
Or north of Sweden, as it is now.
Or North Sweden. Yeah,
right,
so
carry
anyway,
on. These whatever their name is, the Dimitris.
10 of them were executed. And as recently as 1998, a petition was delivered to the Home Secretary, who was then Jack Straw, appealing for their pardon from witchcraft. But the convictions still stand.
Why would you... There's no witchcraft law now.
Well, they were convicted and found guilty of witchcraft. And they just want that removed from the records. Because witchcraft, clearly doesn't exist. As they sort of make it a crime. Witchcraft does exist.
They're looking for compensation.
From 400 or 500 years ago.
Exactly. Well, not repatriation, whatever it is, recompensation.
No, recompense.
Recompense, thank you. I was close.
You're in the right ballpark.
So what did these people get up to, these families? Who did they have hung, drawn and quartered?
Oh, there's not that much information. Come on, it's 500 years ago.
What's the point in doing a story
about... I don't have the court records or the newspapers of the day.
What's the story about then? You mentioned two families.
It's about
you say
witchcraft.
They were accused just given some names. Yes. And the rest of the story is...
Well, they were executed for the murders of 12 people.
That's not a story. That's a beginning and an end. What happened to the bloody middle bit, the entertaining bit?
Probably the trial.
Yes, that's what we want to hear about. The strange stuff that happened in the trial. Did mysterious things happen? Did the judge drop dead?
Well, strange things happened in East Lothian in 1590. And when a woman called Agnes Sampson was one of those accused in North Berwick witch trials, which saw more than 100 people accused and 70 of them actually executed. It puts like the Salem witch trials to shame. Only 25.
When you think about it, sorry, when was this? 1590?
1590, yeah.
1590, 70 people in one area were executed. I was going to say, what was the population then? It must have been a
80.
Tenth of what... So it was like, 1,000 people being put to death today for witchcraft or any other crime.
10,000.
Or maybe even 10,000. That is bloody hellfire.
I know, it's crazy. But there was
How did they execute them?
Well, it depends. Sometimes they were beheaded. Sometimes they were burned. They were quite inventive. We'll come to one particular case, but we'll talk about Agnes Sampson. What she was supposed to have done, because she was like a quite respected healer and a midwife, which was basically witchcraft. And she was among a supposed coven which sought to sink the ship of James VI's new Danish bride in a supernatural storm.
What would she have in common or anything to do with some would-be Danish princess when she was up Lothian or something?
East Lothian.
That's miles away. That's almost on the Scottish borders.
Yeah.
Well, how could she have any impact on some lady coming across from Denmark to marry the king?
Well, she wanted to sink the ship, apparently. This is what they're accused of. It's not actual fact. This was what they used. What
even gave them the idea that she wanted to sink the ship? Did she hate Danes or something?
No, it's not. She didn't actually try to sink the ship with a supernatural storm.
No. But they must have had some grounds for her animosity towards the Danes to even accuse her. Why didn't they pick someone in the Navy or something?
I don't understand your line of questioning. I mean, in those days, you didn't need a reasonable cause to accuse someone of witchcraft. You just accuse them and just make up anything. Yeah, as I say, if you've got an enemy in the locale, all they had to do was say that they saw you transform into a piglet, and that's it. You're at the stake, mate. Not the good kind. Anyway,
so what did happen to her?
Well, I mean, there was a storm, but it was quite natural, not supernatural, and the king's own ship was sent out to retrieve his bride and make sure she was safely delivered from the storm. And Agnes was also accused of supernaturally trying to sink that ship with the supernatural storm. Now, the king actually questioned Agnes personally. And he subjected her to quite horrific torture, including the use of an iron muzzle, which is called the witch's bridle.
Doesn't sound nice.
It wasn't nice. And they extracted a confession because, at some point you will confess. And after that, she was garroted and then burned at the stake.
Well, at least they garroted her first and then burned her at the stake. It would
probably
have been horrible.
Not to death. They probably did the old sexual choking thing where you almost pass out and then let go and then do it again. Haven't you ever done that?
Funnily enough, Andy, no, I haven't. I haven't stuffed oranges up my...
Highly recommend.
You swallow... You don't swallow the orange, but you have one jammed into your mouth, don't you? Isn't that what they do?
That's if you haven't got a ball gag.
Oh, yes. The friendly old ball gag. Have you got one in the house?
No, I don't ask questions like that. And also, before you turn your camera on, always check for dildos in the background. It's just a pro tip.
Luckily, Andy, I don't have to check for dildos in the background. That would be a surprise even to me if suddenly something appeared. It would probably happen after you visited. You'd think it was a jolly prank to stick a dildo in my windows.
The great thing is you wouldn't even know what it was, probably. It would be there for years.
I think I'm not that naive. I'm sure I'd be able to work out what it was.
Purple thing on my windscreen, and it sometimes starts making a buzzing noise.
That gelatinous.
It's a remote-controlled something. Anyway, Agnes's ghost is said to haunt the halls of Holyrood Palace in Edinburgh. Isn't Holyrood where the seat of the government is now?
Yes.
Isn't that where the poisoned dwarf? She should have been burned at the stake.
Which one was that? Queen Mary?
No, that little short-ass Scottish woman who was the Prime Minister.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I can't remember her name now. Whose husband was a bit...
milking the Scottish economy the same way as Boris and his mates were milking the English one.
Fiddling.
Fuck it, what is with these cunts? They're just a bunch of thieving bastards.
You might find that Scotland is going to go for independence again after the election.
They're not allowed to. They
Yes,
were
they are.
told it was a once-only offer.
Well, there was no offer. It was a once-only referendum.
Yes, but you can't.
But it's been 15, 20 years.
No, but that once only. Not
What are you
once
worried
every
about?
15 years.
Why are you bothered with the Scots?
I hate the fact that it's just a waste of time for everybody and a waste of money. If it was up to me, I would cut them loose. Go, be independent. But they don't want
They
it,
will
the
be.
majority of them. This is just going to be another 2-year-long waste of time, money,
No, I think they do.
and fucking
I
newspapers.
think they do want it this time. I think Scotland would leave this time with the Brexit situation.
Okay, let's have a referendum, but this time let the English vote as well. Then we will get the right result. Sorry,
Go
Scotland.
back to bloody Agnes, poor woman, garroted, burnt at the stake.
And now she
Didn't
haunts
do
the
anything.
halls of Holyrood Palace, and that's the end of Agnes.
Well,
we've
it
had
wasn't.
England and we've had
Clearly, it
Scotland.
isn't the end.
We've had
Yeah.
England and we've had Scotland. Let's go to Ireland.
Wales. Oh, I think we're going to go to Wales.
Ireland. And we'll go for Bridget Cleary, her name was. Now, I went to school with the Clearys. I don't remember them being witches.
Did you? Was there a Cleary family in East London in those days? North London, sorry.
There was, yes. Now, Bridget Cleary was actually murdered by her husband, Michael Cleary, in 1895.
Just a quick question for you, talking about wives murdering husbands.
No, husbands murdering wives.
I read an article in the paper somewhere in America. A woman is accused of murdering her husband by knocking him over in the car.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you read about it, but there are now, and there's a load of social media behind this, and now there's crowds of people outside the court saying free Nellie Reid or whatever her name is. But what would motivate people just to go to a courthouse? It just like a what do you call these things? A gathering that's promoted by social media, a pop-up party or something. Who are these people that are so motivated by social media that they stand outside a court with placards, free Nellie?
Why do they want her freed? I mean, did she kill her
because,
husband? Was he allegedly abusive?
He was a cozzer. He was a cozzer in America.
Then free her.
Well, and in fact, what they think is, what the social media reporters are promoting, the idea is that the bar that he died outside of was full of policemen. And they think there's some sort of conspiracy going on, and they wanted someone to take the rap for the husband's death, and they're blaming the wife. Anyway, it was just this: who stands outside courthouses with placards?
Well, if you believe in a cause enough, then I guess you stand up for it.
Mm.
I mean, it's good that people do. Otherwise, nothing would change. Having said that, I hate protests.
I was going to say. Anyway, Agnes. We finished with Agnes. We're moving to Ireland. We've got the Cleary family.
Yes, and we've got the husband murdering the wife. And do you know why he murdered the wife?
Because he thought she was a witch.
Well, he claimed that he did so because he believed his wife had been consumed or possessed by a fairy changeling.
We've had fairy changelings before.
Yes, especially in Ireland, in fact. Now, clearly,
what were they called? They're called something, weren't they?
Fairies.
Don't they have a name? No. Anyway, carry on. Sorry.
Cleary is often referred to as the last witch burned in Ireland. Now, after a violent argument conducted in front of relatives and neighbours, Michael Cleary set fire to his wife with lamp oil, possibly while she was still alive,
Nice.
insisting to those in attendance that the changeling would die and his wife would be returned. So it's okay, don't panic.
And
I'm not really burning my wife, I'm burning the fairy. The wife will be fine.
and
The wife will be
did the
fine.
wife? And
Oh, clearly she wasn't.
no.
So he was found guilty of manslaughter and he spent 15 years in prison, while 9 other people were also indicted on charges of wounding. I think that was because they were standing around watching, basically.
So this is an unusual story because the husband actually went to prison,
Yeah, for burning his wife to death.
even though he suspected her to be witchy.
Come on, this was 1895. This was almost the 20th century.
Oh, you're right. Okay, maybe. Yeah.
So, having said that, we'll come to that later as well. We've got some surprising facts. Now, this story lives on in Irish culture with a popular, although somewhat macabre nursery rhyme, which says, "Are you a witch? Or are you a fairy? Or are you the wife of Michael Clary?"
Nice little. That was only 3 lines. What's a 4-line Japanese poem? A hobo
Haiku.
or something?
A
Haiku.
Hobo is what I am.
Yeah, almost, actually. Right. Oh, unlucky Clary. And she definitely died. She didn't
she
come
was
back.
burned to death with lamp oil, so yeah. Now, Anna Goldley, or Anna Goldie, is often referred to as the last person to be executed for witchcraft in the entirety of Europe. And she was working as a maid for a wealthy physician in Glarus in Switzerland. And it was claimed she put needles in bread and milk served to her employer's daughter using witchcraft.
Why couldn't she have just done it not using witchcraft?
I don't know. I mean, just stick a needle in the bread and the milk. I mean,
It's quite
surely
easy
in
to
a
do.
glass of milk, you'd go, hang on a minute, someone's put a needle in this. You're not going to drink a needle, are you? It doesn't float. It's going to be at the bottom.
Good point. Maybe it was. Yeah, you're right. Actually, it wouldn't float.
And if it did float, you go, excuse me.
But did she do harm to this poor child?
Well, no. But she was arrested and tortured. After which she admitted a pact with the devil because torture.
And when is this we're talking?
1780s.
But you've just done a witch. Oh no, she wasn't done as a witch.
No, she was just murdered by her husband, frankly.
So sorry. This was the last woman to be done for witchcraft. Was in 1790.
Yeah. In Europe.
All right. In Europe.
Apparently. I mean, don't come at me. There could be witches being tried today.
Dotted around everywhere.
I mean, I've met a few, so have you.
Luckily, me not so many, but anyway.
Anyway, once the torture was over, of course, she retracted her confession, but it was too late. She was sentenced to death by beheading. And this incident was widely decried across the country and also by the Holy Roman Empire, which held some sway in those days.
This was in Switzerland?
Yeah. In 2007, her death was officially acknowledged as a miscarriage of justice, and her exoneration was granted 226 years after her death. So everyone wins.
Did the estate get some damages?
I
Did
doubt
anybody
it.
make
Her
any
trial
money
was
out of
branded
it?
illegal. Her trial was branded illegal, and it turns out that Goldie had threatened to reveal an affair that she was actually having with her employer. And to get out of this disgraceful shame, he decided to accuse her of witchcraft. What a cunt.
Nice. Factory owner.
Well done. Another rich man putting a poor person to death. Tut tut.
In Switzerland.
Tut 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 is all I can say.
Indeed.
Now, we've spoken about the amount of people who were killed during the witch trials, the 25 in Salem, 70 in Scotland.
Quite a few in Mora.
A fair few in Mora. Would it surprise you to know that in between 2009 and 2019, at least 20,000 witches were killed across 60 countries?
No, I'm sorry, Andy, but that's 20,000 witches between 2009 and 2019.
In 10 years. In this very century.
It has to be
20,000 witches.
Some obscure Indian something, African something, or did it happen in England?
It does happen in England, even today.
No.
Oh, yes. But in recent decades, governments all over the world have increasingly taken action to address the dark history of witch hunting. In Western Europe, memorials have been put up to victims at sites in Bamberg, Germany, Verdun in Norway, and Zugarramurdi in Spain. I'm glad I got that one out.
So hang on a second, you're talking about some of these witches have literally been killed in Europe.
We're gonna go into much more detail about it. I'm gonna actually legitimize what I said. Now, many states have also taken to issuing national apologies, with some, as we said about the one in Switzerland, even granting posthumous pardons. And the witchcraft exoneration movement isn't simply about addressing past injustices, because violence directed at suspected witches persists across the world today and seems to be intensifying. The 2023 annual report of the UN Human Rights Council asserts that each year, hundreds of thousands of vulnerable people are harmed in locations such as sub-Saharan Africa, India, and Papua New Guinea because of belief in witchcraft. And these sobering statistics indicate a need for urgent government action. So, state-issued exoneration for victims of witchcraft persecution isn't a modern concept. The most notable example was in the aftermath of the Salem witch trials. In the decades that followed that, the citizens of Salem submitted petitions demanding a reversal of convictions for those found guilty of witchcraft and compensation for survivors. And in 1711, the Massachusetts governor, Joseph Dudley, agreed to those demands. But more recently, many states have moved to recognise and make amends for their historical involvement in witch hunting. On National Women's Day 2022, Scotland's former First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon,
yeah,
who is also a witch, issued a national apology to people accused of witchcraft. It's a bit nepotism, that, you know. It's a bit of nepotism, a witch pardoning witches. That's a bit like Trump pardoning himself, isn't it?
Which looks like more likely to happen now.
But yeah, she issued a national apology to people accused of witchcraft between the 16th and the 18th centuries. I don't know why it was only those 200 years. Probably because that's when she was growing up. In 2023, Connecticut lawyers passed a motion to exonerate the individuals executed by the state for witchcraft during the 17th century. And this motion is the result of grassroots campaigning by descendants and groups such as the Connecticut Witch Trial Exoneration Project. They could have made it a simpler name.
I was going to say that's
Free the Witch, Free the witch. Now, the exoneration process can be problematic. For instance, apologies or pardons might ignore the central role of communities in historical witch hunts. Most witchcraft accusations emerge from neighbourly disputes, as we know, and they involve active participation by both the community and the authorities. So even when European states ceased persecution in the 18th century, community-level violence still continued. So just because the state wouldn't burn you at the stake anymore doesn't mean your neighbours wouldn't.
No, you're right. Absolutely.
So advocates for witchcraft exoneration projects argue that state pardons are more important than ever, not least because they can help address ongoing witchcraft-related violence, of which there is plenty. Now, modern witchcraft... Go on.
Until this morning, it's not something I've been particularly worried about, actually.
No, but it's something that you should be aware of. We all think that witch hunting is something from hundreds of years ago, but it's actually very much happening today.
I hope there are no Tory politicians listening to our podcast, otherwise that would be another minority group that they can pick on.
No, they'd probably try and canvass votes off them. We
Exactly.
support the witches. We support the witches. We fund witches. Now,
I could name a couple of Tory witches, that's for sure.
Oh, fucking hell. Any party has got their fair share of witches.
Suella Deville.
Modern witchcraft persecutions are driven mostly by religious fundamentalism, but are further exacerbated by factors such as civil conflict, poverty, and resource scarcity.
Yeah.
The Bible doesn't help. There's a passage in Exodus which says, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." So thanks, Jesus.
What do you mean? Jesus didn't write the Bible?
I think he dictated most of it.
New or Old Testament? That must be Old Testament.
That would be Old Testament. Exodus. Isn't Exodus the second book? I don't know.
Yeah.
In particular, the growth of Pentecostalism in developing nations has played a central role in fueling witch hunts. Pentecostal evangelizing has effectively demonized many cultural traditions, superimposing a strict religious attitude towards magic on societies that have long accommodated such beliefs. And this is evident in the ongoing crusade led by a woman called Helen Ukabio, who is the founder of the notorious Nigerian Church Liberty Foundation Gospel Ministries. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Another one.
What does she do? She hunts down magicians. The Golden Circle. What's it called? The Magic Circle.
Well, they would probably come under fire from these people. Witchcraft-related violence has also been a growing concern in the United Kingdom, particularly within the African diaspora. One of the most shocking cases was in 2010 with the death of a 15-year-old Christy Bamu in London. Bamu was tortured by his older sister and her partner for days, as they believed he was a witch. On Christmas Day, Bamu was forced into a bath for an exorcism, where he drowned. In response to such horrific cases, London's Metropolitan Police, useless, launched the Amber Project in 2021 to address increasing incidents of child abuse linked to belief in witchcraft and spiritual possession. Fucking backwards country that we're turning into, honestly.
Yeah, it's pretty strange, isn't it?
Misogyny,
2024.
Misogyny, of course, has also been a prevalent factor in historical witchcraft prosecutions, and it remains so today. According to the UN, women who do not fulfill gender stereotypes, such as widows, childless or unmarried women, are at increased risk of accusations of witchcraft and systematic discrimination.
Even widows?
Yes.
What did they do wrong?
They probably put a spell on their husband to kill him. Witch! Witchcraft
Yeah.
accusations are a means to exert control over the bodies of women and girls while maintaining male dominated power structures. Accusations also play a role in human trafficking by making it easier to drive victims out of their communities.
You haven't been driven out of your community yet, though, have you?
Not yet, but they haven't caught me turning into a pig.
Is that what you do at night? You turn into a bit of a piglet? A
I do
wild boar?
I do that after a couple of glasses of wine. You fucking pig!
It's probably you boar, actually. But anyway, carry on.
Belief in harmful magic or witchcraft exists across many societies. In India, they've got a long history of witch hunting, and it continues to be plagued by injustices. One victim was a woman called Salo Devi. She was 58 from a small village in the state of Yarkand. And in 2023, she was beaten to death by her neighbours for allegedly bewitching a baby. Papua New Guinea and sub-Saharan Africa are also hotspots for witchcraft-related violence. And violence isn't just used as a punishment against accused witches. It's often part of the remedy. So what don't cure you?
What doesn't kill you?
Well, yeah. Well, attempts at counter witchcraft or exorcisms have been a significant source of harm, particularly for children. Cultural beliefs surrounding disabilities and misunderstood conditions such as albinism have also been used as justification for beatings, banishment, amputation, torture, and murder.
Where is the Catholic Church stance on witches at the moment?
Burn them.
Have they? I was going to say, has the Catholic Church ever actually stated they don't believe that witches exist?
No, they would
Having
never do
spent
that.
so long promoting the idea that witches did exist.
They would never do that because it says it in the Bible.
Oh, you're right,
You
actually.
can't go against your own doctrine.
You're right.
So prevalent is the violence that in 2021, the UN Human Rights Council issued a historic special resolution calling for the elimination of harmful practices related to the accusations of witchcraft and ritual attacks. And this resolution urges member states not only to condemn these practices, but take measures to actually abolish them. So what they're doing is implementing programs to educate communities. Oh, here we go. Lessons will be
We
learned.
don't like education, do we?
No,
We don't like
because
knowledge and education.
no, education
Absolutely
doesn't
not.
work, does it? You can't educate people who refuse to be educated. They want to burn witches. That's what they've
It
been
didn't
brought up
work
to
as far
do.
as you were concerned, but that doesn't mean it's going to fail in terms of everybody else.
Well, the UN has issued numerous denouncements, and a few states have introduced anti-witchcraft bills. In this, I mean, come on, what century are we in? Why would you have to
I know,
introduce
it's just
legislation
staggering,
about
isn't it?
witchcraft, for fuck's sake? I give up.
I'm not talking about witchcraft, but we were talking about modern slavery a few weeks ago. Did you see that couple in England, they were actually sent to prison for 4.5 years apiece?
Not long enough.
No,
How
I
fucking
completely
dare
agree.
they?
Yes.
How dare they? They
Yeah.
spend 15 million quid on a wedding and they pay their maid 6 fucking quid a day and keep her locked in a basement.
Sorry, I didn't get the bit about the 15 million on a wedding. One of their
Yes,
kids got married and
one
they
of their
spent
sons
15
got
million.
married and they spent 15 million. They had Jennifer Lopez singing at the wedding.
Did they? I didn't
They
get
had
that
boats
level of
and
goss.
private planes arriving. There was 4,000 guests or something ridiculous. And they pay £6 a day and keep your servants locked in the basement so they can't leave. And they worked 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. How fucking dare they? They shouldn't be put in prison. They should be burned as witches.
I wonder how they're going to cope in. Where do you think they went to the jail?
In Switzerland.
Oh, it was in Switzerland. I thought it was in England.
No, they lived in England, or they are British, but this happened in Switzerland.
Oh, right. Well done, the justice system.
If it was England, they would never have been sent to prison. They would never have been sent to prison. You don't get dumb if you're rich in England.
No, you're right.
You probably get compensation for wasting your time. I'm terribly sorry, rich person. Here's some extra money for you. Thank you.
Well, that's literally what happened. When was slavery abolished? 18 somethings or others? When the slave owners were compensated for the loss of revenue.
Well, I mean, who's gonna run the fields now? You know, but I mean, the UK was amongst the very first to abolish slavery, so that was one good thing in our favour. But do you know who was actually the first in Europe, the first country to abolish slavery?
In Europe?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just trying to think. I don't know who.
It was Portugal.
Well, I would never have guessed that.
I don't know why I know that.
It didn't do them much good, though, bearing in mind they were under a fascist dictatorship until 1974. That's 1974.
No, they weren't always a dictatorship.
No, but they were a dictatorship for many years prior to 1974. It was 30 years. I can't remember what their names were. What was his name, that fellow?
Oh, I can't remember.
The last Portuguese dictator. Going to look it up. Anyway, carry on. Back to the old
back to the
witchy
UN
story.
Passing anti-witchcraft bills, additional legal protections, multi-agency task forces, and national apologies allegedly will help bring more attention to the pressing issue. Above all, it's necessary to address the beliefs and motivations that underpin witchcraft accusations, and by doing so, we can hopefully reverse the alarming rate of witchcraft-related deaths that are recorded each year.
Salazar. Antonio Salazar. He was the last
Disney
Portuguese
villain.
Yeah.
But anyway, so now you know there's like 2,000 a year witchcraft-related killings. 2,000 a year every year in this century, in this time.
Mad.
And
More than strange, mad.
And I'm afraid that's all I got for you this week. That brings us to the end.
It's not
of
bad.
This
I must admit, I would never have guessed it. I would never have. No, I'm sorry. I would not even have come close to guessing it was that bad.
No, it's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks for listening, everyone.
Yes. Well done, Andy. Even a modicum of research went into that one. I'm mildly impressed. Mildly.
Not a great deal.
No.
I have to admit, up until 6 o'clock last night, I was struggling to come up with a subject.
We go with good old witches. Everybody loves a good witchy story.
No, witchcraft is always good.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks for listening. Don't forget, you can find us on Insta, Facebook. Give us a like, follow, subscribe. All the usual stuff. Look at us on YouTube, if that's your bag. And join us again next week when we will talk about something which I will decide 10 minutes before we start the chat.
Exactly. We need some ideas from the audience.
Yeah, some suggestions would be welcome, actually. In the meantime, have yourselves a strange week. And if you do practice witchcraft, don't for fuck's sake get caught, because even today, you will be put to death. So,
well done.
See you next week.
Cheerio.